Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm one of the founders of Kiroku. I'm also a dentist, and today I'm going to guide you through how you can start customizing your workflows to make them as useful as possible for you. Quickly before that, I'm going to show you how you can add in new workflows as well. So to access the template store, if you hover over templates, it'll give you several options, one of which is going to the template store. So if you select into that, you'll see that there is a huge variety of different template types. So we've got assessments, we've got treatments, COVID workflows, etc. I urge you to kind of look through and see the huge variety we've got available. And the way that you would then add those in is you can just preview it to see if it's something that seems of interest, and then you can add that in, and that will just add itself to your home screen. To then start customizing those and making sure that they are most appropriate for you, you can either hover over templates again and go to edit templates, or if you hover over these three dots here, you can select that of the template that you want to edit, and you can press edit template. The way that I'm going to run this tutorial is I'm going to talk you through some changes. I am then going to pause the video periodically and allow you to catch up so that you can do it along with me. Hopefully by the end you'll be a total pro. The first thing I'm going to show you, two things, is one, how to edit text, and the second is how to edit buttons, how to edit the text within buttons. So with the example of dentist, I'm just going to enter my initials there. The reason that I don't need that to be a button is because it's not variable. I'm always going to be the dentist, so it may as well be text. If there's certain things that are variable, in the example of the nurse in the line below, I want that as options because I'm selecting between different nurses who I might be working with. So if I wanted to change that, I would just click within the button group, and to the left there it's going to open that for me, and I can either just edit the text or I can add in new options. And so I can just make that change. The reason that you'd want to leave the word other with a capital O is it gives you the option of just, that will collapse down into no text. So if none of those nurses are in and you just want to type something in, that will give you the ability to do that. So you can see that that is now changed. I'm going to stop and let you catch up with that. The next thing I'm going to guide you through is different button types, different components that you can use within Kiroku. So you'll see to the left there that there's several options. You can add in a button group, and that is the one I've used there with nurses, and that's when you'd want it to collapse down into just one button. The next type below that is multi-select, and that's when you actually want to select multiple options. So an example for button group would be angles classification, for example. You're only going to ever want one. However, with multi-select, an example would be exacerbating factors in a pain history. You might want to be able to select more than one option, in which case you'd want a multi-select. A drop down is really useful. It works in the same way as a button group in that you could only select one option, but it's useful if there's loads and loads of options and you want it to look neat and not too busy on your template. So in that situation, you would use a drop down. I will go through tooth selector and tooth later on in the tutorial too. So if you wanted any of those, you'd just be able to drag those in. However, if you've got a type of button, like complaining of here, and you want to change this to a different button group, the way you would do that is you would select into the button, you would hover over the button group, and then I can then just select multi-select. And that's now going to mean that I can select more than one patient complaint. So I'm going to stop and let you make that change as well. The next thing I'm going to show you is how you can add in whole new notes, new lines. So again, you would just be able to drag that in from the left. So if I drag in a text and I pop that there, let's say I want to include who the patient attended with. So I can include that straight as text, and then I want some options after that. So I'm going to include a button group. You'll see there that I just hovered over the three dots to the right of the component, and it's given me the same as what exists to the left, and I can just select button group. So I can now enter in alone, with partner, and again I'm going to include other in case one of those options isn't relevant. Again, I'm going to stop and let you catch up with that. The next thing I'm going to show you is linked information, and this is a really sort of important thing to understand within Kiroku. So you can see here at these symbols, these blue symbols, so that's linked information right there. So what that means is that's not always going to be output, it's only going to output in certain situations. So you can see whilst I've hovered over this, that it's telling me where that is, what situation that's coming out in. So if a patient is attended in sensitivity, with sensitivity, it's then reminding me to capture where that sensitivity is coming from. So, and again, if I hover over here, you'll see it's coming from a different button. So that is linked information. Also important is all within the editor, all that linked information will show, but if I select into one button group, it will then only show the links relevant to that button group. So you can see that that's showing, but none of the other ones are. What I'm going to show you now is how you can start editing those. So in the same way that you'd be able to edit the notes as I've shown you previously, you can do that here as well. So you can just edit the text and you can edit the buttons by just selecting into them. You can also delete outlines by hovering over those 6 dots and just deleting. So that can all be done as before. Let's say that you want to edit the smoking cessation advice. So built into some of our workflows is smoking cessation advice attached to when you've recorded the patient as a smoker. So in the example that the patient's a daily smoker, you can select this symbol within that button group to see what the linked information is. Once I've selected into that, I can see that it's linking to several areas, and if I want to see what those are, then I can just scroll to that link, and you can see here that the smoking cessation advice is there. So I can just make any changes that I would. So again, whatever you want to change that to, and that is going to now come out every time I've recorded that the patient is a smoker. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to add in a whole new link. So I'm going to show you in the example of BPE. So if I wanted to see again what is linked to a BP score of 3, I can scroll to that, and you can see here that it's including within my diagnoses a perio diagnoses, and it's also going to show the discussion. But if I wanted to add a treatment plan attached to a BP score of 3, I can just add that in, and the way that I would do that is I can just start by going within treatment plan, and I would just add in a line of text, and just without even worrying about what it's linked to, I would say, okay, with a BP score of 3, what do I want to come out? And so I'm going to say let's say, and I work in private practice, so I want the option that I've given a scale and that I've referred to a hygienist, and that I have given the option of a referral to a specialist, let's say. So perio options provided to patient, discussed option of a I then might also want what the patient chose to progress with. So within that, I might want to add either within the same line. I might also want to add it as a separate one, saying, let me remove that. So here I can say patient chose to progress with And then I can then include the options that I've just included there. So scale today. I might also want to include other in case the patient chose not to progress or something was just a bit different there. So let's say I want to then actually add those both to a BP score of 3. I would select the tick box within that line of note. I would then go to the area that I want to link that from, and I would select the button group, and I would then press the link symbol next to that. And that, if I now go to the treatment plan area, you'll see at the bottom, I presume, after all of these, you'll see that that's now linked in, and that's linked to a BPE score of 3. I'm now going to stop and let you catch up there. The next thing I'm going to show you is actually kind of putting a lot of that together. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, let's say within my dental exam, I'm going to add a whole new thing that I'm looking for. So let's say I want to see if there's any fractured teeth. So I might want to do that, and then I might want to include a tooth selector. And so I can just record, and that will give me the option of nil or to select a tooth in the actual editing once I'm actually completing my notes there. But let's say whenever there is a fractured tooth, I want to give certain options. So the way I would do that is, again, I would go and create the note and then link it in after. So if I go to treatment plan, I'm going to add in a new line and say and here I might want to say, I want specific to the tooth in question, I might actually want to give that I'm selecting which options I've given. So let's say I wanted to, so I can include composite, and then I could include some direct restorations as well. So and let's say other hair as well. Insert multi-select. I would then say options fractured teeth discussed, and then I've got multiple options that I can select. I could then include text to say patient would like to progress with. And again, you might want to include all of the risks, and you could include that within how you set this up. But I would want a button group here so that I'm only selecting one of the options. I think. Okay, so that's now going to give me the option. So I could then link that in to the tooth in question. There might be, sorry, I've just noticed my typo. I might also want the ability to add in the tooth. And so I'm going to show you in a second what that's going to do. So that will, if I link this in to something that's got a tooth grid, it's going to fill in the variable of the correct tooth so that it's referring to the correct tooth that's been fractured. So if I then again select that, and I go all the way back up to fractured teeth, and here I could link it to individual teeth, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to link it to all. So if I select any of these teeth and they are fractured, it will link to the treatment options I've given. So I would link from all. I'm going to stop and let you catch up with that. That is everything that I'm going to show you today. If you've got any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact a member of the team. We're so happy to run you through how to customize your workflows. But the more you use it, the more you'll understand and get to grips with how it all works. And hopefully it will become quite natural to you in no time at all. Thank you for your attention. I hope that's been helpful. And I look forward to chatting to you soon.